You're getting a lot of mixed information from friends, family. You don't know what's true and what's not. Well, in this video, we're going to cover 7 myths of things that I've heard from friends, family, and even clients when it comes to buying a home that simply is not true. So stick around to get all the details. See you on the other side. What's going on, guys? Like I mentioned in this video, we're going to cover 7 myths that I've heard way too much that definitely are not true when it comes to buying a house. And we're going to cover all of that. Now, before we do that, if this is your first time here, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Patrick Longley. I'm a licensed real estate agent out here in Hawaii and have been for nearly a decade, helping buyers, sellers, and investors with their real estate needs. With that being said, if you just want to talk story or if you have any questions, got my contact information right here, or feel free to directly DM me on any of my social media platforms. With that being said, let's jump into the 7 myths that are going to get debunked in this video about buying a home. Number 1, you need 20% down to purchase a home. That is definitely not true. You can buy a home if it's your primary residence anywhere from 0 to 10%, depending on your situation. 0% for my FHA and VA buyers, and 10% if you're going over the jumbo loan, but you can even find products for 3.5%, 5%. The only rule is that you have to live in that home as your primary residence. Now, where this gets mixed up and people think about the 20 and 25% is that if you are an investor or if you're not living in that home as your primary residence, yes, you do have to put 20 to 25%. But if it's your primary residence, anywhere between 0 and 10% for that down payment. Number 2, I'm just gonna wait to buy a single family home because I don't wanna live in a condo and it's just better for me to wait. And I wouldn't really suggest that. If you are looking to get specifically in the real estate game out here in Hawaii, it's all about just getting in. You have to keep in the mind that that condo or townhome is not your forever home. It's just the property that gets you in to the real estate game, because as we've seen over 30 years of data, we see the prices continue to go up 4 to 8% every single year on average. So that if you're waiting to buy that single family home, it's slowly going to slip away from you because prices for condos, townhomes, and single family homes are going to continue to go up. Unless your income is increasing further and faster than those prices, you might find yourself renting forever. So this is what I suggest. Get into a condo or townhome if that's what you can afford now, build equity in that, cash out on it or do a HELOC and pull cash out of it, and then buy the single family home. The game is to get in and actually reap the benefits of owning real estate opposed to paying somebody else's mortgage. So I wouldn't wait for that single family home if you can't afford it now. You just need to get in so you have that property to get you to that single family home. Number 3, it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy. Yes and no. I would definitely agree that it is cheaper on the front end to rent than it is to buy, especially with the way interest rates are right now. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is that you're essentially not investing, you're utilizing your rent as an expense. So every single month you're paying somebody else's basically mortgage payment, and you are just burning up your money so that you're not actually investing in yourself or in your future. When you purchase a home and you're paying that mortgage payment, you're investing it into an asset that you own and you get to reap the benefits of, whether you rent the property out later, whether you wait it out and buy and hold it and then you build equity in it, once again 4 to 8% every single year. And then when you sell it, you can cash out and once again roll into that single family home. So it might seem more expensive to buy than to rent when you're looking at, the front end costs, down payment, monthly payment. But the truth of the matter is you get no tax write-offs. You can't rent out the property and reap the benefits of actually owning an asset, and you can't cash out and sell the property and cash in on all that equity that you built because you're a savvy investor. Number 4, all lenders have the same rates. This is definitely not true. It's really important that you actually shop for a lender. I always have my clients, I always give them 2 or 3 lenders to choose from and have them shop around. Not all lenders will have the same rates. They won't have the same cash to close for your closing costs. They'll have different origination fees or different points you have to buy down. So it's really important that you shop around. This is how you properly shop around for a lender. You're gonna pick 2 to 3 lenders. I would highly suggest you pick a lender, not a bank, because they're kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna call them all on the same day, fill out an application and tell them, hey, if I was to buy a property today for a conventional loan at $500,000, putting 5% down, what would my interest rate be today? And it's really important to ask that question and get that information from the lender so that you can actually look at what is their interest rate today, because it can change once to twice a day. If you ask one lender on Monday and another lender on Friday, you're not actually measuring them on an even field. So you really need to ask them all on the same day, preferably. After you do that, you're gonna ask them for basically a loan estimate so that you can see what the cash to close is, did they sneak in any fees, and then you're gonna look at the interest rate And then you're also going to look at what your cash to close is. And then you're going to pick the best lender who has the best rate and the best cash to close. That is how you shop for a loan. And that is debunking that all lenders have the same rates. Myth number 5, it's cheaper to buy a fixer-upper. Yes, it's generally cheaper, once again, on the front end to buy a fixer-upper because it's not as desirable, it's not turnkey, there's things you need to fix. But if there are major expenses, which usually fall in what I call the big 4, that's going to be plumbing, electrical, roof, or foundation, you might be able to buy a home that's 500 grand and it's maybe actually worth, if it's all fixed up, 550 grand. But if you actually have to put in a bunch of money and then have to actually put in another 50 or 60 grand, you're right back at the same price of a property that was fixed up. So it's really important to have an agent who can actually assess the situation, have a general idea of working with contractors, the cost of fixing things, and whether it's actually better to buy a property that's a fixer-upper or if it's turnkey. So it's really important to work with somebody who actually knows how to crunch the numbers and knows how much things actually cost. So buying a fixer can be a good opportunity, but is not always the cheapest route because you might find yourself forking money out of your pocket to fix a bunch of things. So it really depends on a property to property basis. Myth number 6, all foreclosures are a great deal. Foreclosures can be a good deal. And this also is what we call bank-owned properties. When the bank has taken the property from the old owner, they own it, and now they're selling the property on the open market. Now, bank-owned properties are sometimes can be a good deal, sometimes not. Usually what happens is they list it at probably what a fair price would be, and then you see every 30 days they adjust the price. Generally by the 60th or 90th day, we've seen that the prices come down significantly, and that's when you really want to strike. Generally right when they get foreclosed on and right when they get put on the market, they're not really a smoking deal, especially because when you deal with a bank-owned property, number one, they're gonna have no information about the property because they never owned it, so they're not gonna give you a seller's disclosure with any details, with any issues or things you want to be aware of. And number two, when you do your inspection, they're not gonna give you anything. If there's a roof issue, a foundational issue, they're not gonna give you anything. They're heartless, they could care less. They're gonna tell you to kick rocks, so you're not gonna get any credit back from the bank. That's a definite. So foreclosures can be a good deal, but again, you want to work with somebody like myself. I've done a bunch of foreclosure purchases who understands the process, how the bank works, and how you want to strategically buy that property at a good price, because it's not always a smoking deal. And myth number 7 is all real estate agents are the same. Similar to lenders, real estate agents, although a buyer's agent really isn't going to cost you anything, because working with a buyer's agent like myself doesn't cost you anything. The seller pays our commissions, but it's important that you work with somebody who has done a fair amount of transactions. I kind of like to think of it as, you know, you can find an agent who's been an agent for 30 years, but if they're only doing 1 or 2 transactions a year, that's not a lot of, you know, digging the ditches. If you were to fly on a plane, you wouldn't want somebody who's been a pilot for 30 years, but has only flown once a month, opposed to a pilot who's been flying for maybe 5 years, but flies every single day. You want somebody who has track records, who has the miles, who has the transactions, who's gone through a lot of ups and downs so that they can avoid any issues during a transaction, because that's generally what our jobs are. Our jobs are to put out fires and avoid or see any future issues to come up and get them solved before they come up. So it's really important that when you are interviewing an agent, that you ask them lots of questions. How many transactions are you doing every single month, more or less? What price points do you generally work in? Have you worked with VA buyers or used a VA loan? Have you done transactions with foreclosures? Have you done transactions with ag land? Whatever type of property you're looking to purchase, you want to make sure that agent has done a fair amount of transactions with that type of property, and that they have the track record, which you can easily look up online to see if they've got good reviews, are they doing a fair amount of transactions, and lastly, do you vibe with them? Because they're essentially going to become your best friend, because you're going to talk to them all the time, because they're going to help you negotiate the deal, put the deal together, file the paperwork, and all of that. So it's really important that you interview your agent and not just go with any schmo that you see online. All right, guys, so those are the 7 myths when it comes to buying a home. If you guys have any questions or want to reach out to me, got my contact information right here, or you can directly DM me on any of my social media platforms. And if you guys could do me one last huge favor, if you got any value out of this content, smash that like button, as well as click the subscribe and notification bell so you get notified whenever I drop videos just like this. I'm Patrick with PatrickLongleyRealty.com, powered by eXp Realty. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.